Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and we are back with more notable names in African American history. Before we get into the video, I want to go ahead and say if you wish to donate, I would greatly appreciate it. I do have a coffee account and a Patreon account. The coffee account will allow you to make smaller or single time payments, whereas the Patreon will allow you to make month to month. If you can't afford it, if you've got other things bearing down, don't try to be donating. Take care of things first. But if you are able to and you want to, thank you. With that said, let's jump into the video. In this video, we are looking at Shirley Chisolm. Very famous African American woman who served in Congress. As you can see, they've got the dates here. The Congresses, the 91st, which started in 69 and ended in 71, all the way through the 97th, which started in 81 and ended in 83. So, just over a decade. Now, let's go ahead and scroll down here. Biography from thehouse.gov. Shirley Anita Chisolm was a representative from the state of New York, born Shirley Anita St. Hill on November 30th, 1924, in Brooklyn, Kings County, New York. Attended public schools in Brooklyn and earned a Bachelor of Arts from Brooklyn College in 1946. Earned a Master's of Arts from Columbia University in 1952. Was a nursery school teacher from 1946 to 1953. Director of the Hamilton Madison Child Care Center in New York, 1953 to 1959. Educational consultant for the Division of Daycare, New York City, 1959 to 1964. An assemblywoman for the New York State Legislature, 1964 to 68, eventually being elected as a Democrat to the 91st and the 6th following Congresses, and was not a candidate for re-election to the 98th Congress in 1992. She did have was an unsuccessful candidate for Democratic nomination for president in 1972, dying on January 1st, 2005 in Ormond Beach, Florida, being interred at the Forest Lawn Cemetery in Buffalo, New York, and awarded posthumously with the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Barack Obama in 2015. Why she's important is that candidacy. The first woman of color to run for president. First woman, I believe, period, to run for president, if I remember it right. But yeah, just important in that matter. And she was a teacher, member of Congress. So yeah. Shirley Anita St. Hill Chisolm, born in Brooklyn, New York, to immigrant parents who came to the United States from Barbados. She would graduate Brooklyn College and the Teachers College at Columbia University, and in 68 would become the first black woman elected to the U.S. Congress, so she's also a first there, and represented New York's 12th Congressional District for 7 terms, 14 years. Early on in her congressional term, she was first assigned to the House Agriculture Committee and soon found more relevant committee assignments that would better serve her constituents, where she worked to expand food stamp program and helped to create the special supplemental nutrition program for women, infants, and children, WIC. Legislation she introduced also focused on gender and racial equality and ending the Vietnam War. In 1971, she was a founding member of the Congressional Black Caucus. In 1972, in the U.S. presidential election, she became the first black candidate to seek a major party's nomination for President of the United States and the first woman to run for the Democratic Party's presidential nomination. After the unsuccessful bid for president, she continued serving in the House of Representatives. In 1977, she was elected as Secretary of the House Democratic Caucus and retired from Congress in 1983, where she was succeeded by Major Owens, and after her death, posthumously awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Barack Obama. So, that's from archives.gov. Got a picture of her meeting Bill Clinton, where he assigned her to be ambassador to Jamaica. But yeah. So, roots from Barbados, an island in the Caribbean. Very driven, very motivated in what she was doing. First black woman to be elected to Congress, a founding member of the Congressional Black Caucus, first black candidate to seek a major party's nomination for president, and the first woman to run for the Democrat Party's presidential nomination. So she's got a lot of firsts under her belt. Clearly. Now, this is from Britannica. Born November 30th, 1924 in Brooklyn, New York, and died January 1st, 2005 in Ormond Beach, Florida. Made history as the first African-American woman to be elected to the U.S. Congress, serving in the House of Representatives from 1969 to 1983, and in 1972 became the first woman to run for the Democratic Party's presidential nomination. Talk about her being a daughter of immigrants, father from British Guiana, now Guyana, and her mother from Barbados. She grew up in Barbados and in Brooklyn. So she's born in Brooklyn, but she does go back and live in Barbados for a short period of time. And we talk about she graduated from Brooklyn College and elementary education at Columbia University. Married Conrad Q. Chisolm in 1949, though they would divorce in 1977 and later that year marry Arthur Hardwick Jr. Talked about her being heads for child care as a early education caregiver. Was seen as a recognized expert on early education and child welfare. She was already active with community and political groups, including the NAACP and her district's Unity Democratic Club. She would get elected to represent her Brooklyn district in the New York State Legislature, 64 to 68, and then run and get elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, the U.S. Congress. She campaigned under the slogan "Fighting Shirley Chisolm," unbought and unbossed, serving New York's 12th congressional district. She would travel throughout the district speaking directly to voters, especially women. She would defeat James Farmer, a civil rights leader, for the seat. After taking office in '69, she quickly became known as a strong liberal who opposed weapons development and the war in Vietnam and favored full employment proposals. She also was noted for her public criticism of Washington, especially the politicians who refused to represent the needs of the voters. Sounds pretty frickin' familiar. Where do we know politicians who don't represent the will of the voters today? Let's see. She was a candidate for the Democratic nomination for U.S. President in '72 and won 152 delegates before withdrawing from the race. Founder of the National Women's Political Caucus, supported the Equal Rights Amendments, and helped get abortions legalized throughout her congressional career, which lasted from '69 to '83. Wrote the autobiographical works Unbought and Unbossed in 1970 and The Good Fight in 1973. After she retired from Congress, she remained active on giving lectures, was a professor at Mount Holyoke College, Purington professor is what they call it, and was a visiting scholar at Spelman College. In 1993, she was invited by President Bill Clinton to serve as ambassador to Jamaica, but would decline because of her poor health. When discussing her legacy, she said, "I like them to say that Shirley Chisolm had guts. That's how I'd like to be remembered." She died in 2005 after suffering a series of strokes. And of course, she gets a posthumous Presidential Medal of Freedom. But yeah. We probably won't read into this too much, but yeah. Preceded by Edna Kelly as for the New York 12th District, and followed by Major Owens. like we said, married twice, Conrad Chisholm and then Arthur Hardwick Jr. Uh, she spent ages 5 through 9 in Barbados. So, yeah, born in Brooklyn, but spent a good 4 or 5 years in Barbados and would always consider herself a Barbadian American. Let's see. As a result of her time in Barbados, she did speak with a West Indian accent throughout her life. Just one of the Caribbean accents, if you can think of it. So, yeah. Career. Yeah, founder of the Congressional Black Caucus and a member of the Women's Caucus. So, yeah. Yeah, there she is, along with the other members, founding members of the Congressional Black Caucus. But like we said, she was also part of the National Women's Political Caucus. Looks like she was also a founding member of it. So, yeah. Like I said, she's one of the early ones you want to look for if you're looking for a woman of color in American political history. But yeah, do. Life and death. Spent the spring of 1985 semester as a visiting professor at the historically black women's Spelman College in Atlanta, and was the Puritan professor at the all-women's Mount Holyoke College in Massachusetts, where she would serve at for the next 4 years in that position. So, inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame. She's got some monuments named after her. The Shirley Chisolm Project on Brooklyn Women's Activism formerly known as the Shirley Chisolm Center for Research at Brooklyn College. The Shirley Chisolm State Park, which is a state park along 3.5 miles of Jamaica Bay coastline. Yeah, dedicated to Shirley Chisolm in September of 2018, I guess. It would open to the public July 2nd, 2019. April 2023, the Vauxhall Primary School in Christchurch, Barbados, built to replace the old school where Chisolm herself received her elementary education, was renamed the Shirley Chisolm Primary School. That's awesome. And a memorial monument for Chisolm is planned for the entrance to Prospect Park in Brooklyn. It was finally approved in 2023. Got some movies and books about her series. Reagan is the prez, but I voted for Shirley Chisolm. Honors and awards: Congressional Gold Medal, earned posthumously. Presidential Medal of Freedom, she earned posthumously. And the William L. Dawson Award by the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. Honorary degrees: Honorary Doctor of Laws degree by Aquinas College, Honorary Doctor of Laws degree by Smith College, Honorary Doctor of Laws degree by Mount Holyoke College, and Honorary Doctor of Laws degree by Stetson University. But yeah, that's been a look at Shirley Chisolm. If you want to know about African American history, especially with like U.S. politics and stuff, a good name to know. There's a lot of points to study at, but yeah, Shirley Chisolm is definitely one you should know. But we'll end this episode there. As always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn. Someone tells you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources, and it can't just be some random blog post or tinfoil hat wearing website. I'll be putting my links and sources in the description box below the video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.